Welcome to Chuck's World of Infinite Mojo, brought to you by Holy Chuck Burgers. Our business is burgers.
Good morning, Katarina Witt. There's no such thing as bad boys, only boys with bad hair.
Sponsored by Maxwell's Clothiers, your bespoke tailor since 1961. And now, your host of Chuck's World of Infinite Mojo, Chuck Bastie. Hello, and thank you for joining us again on Chuck's World of Infinite Mojo. I'm our producer, Cam LaRock, and of course, I'm with our host, Chuck Bastie. Chuck, what's going on?
I just still can't stop jumping to that jam you chose for that opening, because like that jam, when I heard that and you sent that to me for the first time, I was like, man, that's my jam. Like I was just like, yeah, it's got the bass line in it. It almost like gives that Zeppelin sort of esque sound. And
yeah, whenever you get out of that bed in that video and you fix your hair up, it always makes me chuckle a little bit. It's just,
well, that's not me. That's Chuck, doing that as well. So it's our avatar.
Yeah.
But I got to give a big shout out to Ahmed for creating that. That's everything I thought it was going to be and more. So I'm very, very grateful.
Yeah, he nailed it with that one.
He crushed that as well. And again, thanks for the sponsors as well for the show and that little thing. And Katarina Witt, someday you will be my future ex-wife. I promise that I will be a great future ex-husband. But if we can, keep it down to being professional about this, because we all have feelings. You're a big superstar, and I'm still looking to marry you.
Well, now that that's out there, who do we got on the show today, Chuck?
We have Mark Phillips from Padskinz, and I'm actually really excited about Mark's story, because Padskinz, if you haven't heard of Padskinz as a goalie or even as a player in the sport of hockey, is just a magical product. And I'm so glad one of my goalies on my junior C team actually introduced me to Padskinz. I had no idea what it was because I'm not a Gen Z like you. But yeah, and I outfitted all my gear to it and look like a pro, play like a pro as well. And I think we have a little video.
Yeah, we might as well show the viewer instead of talking about it, right?
Speaking of jams, that's a jam too. That'll get your blood pumping.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, you can see the before and after, obviously, of what the product does. But I mean, it just I really got to go back to this, and we'll hit this on the show as well. But like, if you look like a pro, you feel like a pro, you play like a pro. There's nothing better as a goalie when your gear fits you properly. I mean, it's your gear, it's customized to you, and nowadays, customizations, it's everywhere. Whereas in my day, we didn't have that. You just did your best to find that feel, but like when you can customize it with your mask, with your gear, your pads and your gloves, and even your pants now, it just makes a huge difference in your confidence as well. And It's my intention for young kids to really get connected to that as well, and that way you look like a pro, feel like a pro, play like a pro.
Yeah, just like I was telling you beforehand, it works the opposite way with players as well. Like if you're playing against a goalie and he's got the matching pads with the helmet, like look out.
We're done.
Yeah, you better get ready. Like that's scary. Like you don't want to face that. So yeah, it's definitely good for the kids. I like what Mark's doing with that. So I might as well get out of here now, and we'll bring Mark in to talk about it a bit more now that we're all interested. So I'll get out of here. Have a good show, Chuck.
Thanks, buddy. We'll now bring up Mark Phillips from Padskinz.
Hey, what's going on? Love that intro, man. That is the sickest intro ever. Just like you. And let me tell you, your Katarina Witt is like my 1990s Meg Ryan.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Meg before all the surgery, right?
Yeah, the trout mouth.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So that's a sweet intro, but that is amazing.
I'm just now you've intrigued me, because I have my 1984, 1988 Katarina Witt lust factor from the Calgary Olympic Games as well. What was your tie to Meg Ryan?
Man, just like movies. She's just so hot back then. It was.
I loved her in French Kiss. That was my favorite movie of her in there, where she was like describing. Yeah. She was describing the wine and the grainy. Oh, sorry, not French Kiss. She was in that as well, but City of Angels, because he asked her what a pear tastes like, and she's like, "You don't know what a pear tastes like?" She's like, and he's like, "I don't know what a pear tastes like to you."
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh, what a great line. And then she just started into that. And I just started looking at her. I'm like, wow, that's hot.
Yeah.
So I agree with you, Mark. So
Yeah.
we're in agreement right there before we
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
That's great.
Go
So,
Meg. Yeah.
yeah, go Meg, Team Meg. So let's start on you and get away from Meg.
Yeah.
So you're the owner of Padskinz, which I was actually really, really blown away about that I had no idea existed, because your product's everywhere right now, and obviously I'm the laggard to the hockey community not knowing about it. It took my junior hockey goalie here in Kincardine to tell me about Padskinz before I'm like, what is Padskinz and what is this technology you speak of?
Yeah.
Before I was actually able to reach out to you. And then it was even better because I reached out to you online. I ordered some maroon Padskinz from you. Had no idea how to do it. And I'm not great with stuff like that, but I had a lot of fun. Like I did the old masking tape. I know we don't use that right now, but I used that as my template. And my pattern was pretty good because I had Brian's gear. And it just follows that template on the pad. And I took the old stuff off. And I think I bought my first set of gear, this set of gear that I have right now from Play It Again. And the guy actually, before he sold it to me, he just like, hey, listen, like there's a set of pads over here. It was a little high on the rise for me. It was a 34+1. I'd like to have a 33+1, but it was $90 for the set of pads from Brian's pads, which I thought was, I couldn't pass that up. And then he just said, yeah, listen, and the only reason why it's missing a strap on the boot, and you'll need to put on some Padskinz. And again,
okay.
Like, yeah, what are Padskinz? So you owe this guy another, because he's the reason why I reached out. And I wouldn't have bought the pads, as is, because like half of it was red and half of it wasn't, and it was just like this thing's a disaster. But it cleans up nicely with your gear. So I just thought we'd just introduce that. And before we start, just figure out like how you got into Padskinz, like, as a small business owner, and you've been a goalie your entire life.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Just start with you introducing yourself and how you got started, and we'll just take it from there.
Yeah, no problem. Well, I've been a goalie since I was 10. I was on the team, that had no goalie, and they were looking for somebody to play net, and I'm like, okay, I'll try, because I sucked as a forward. It was my first year playing, so I'm like, oh, I'll try, whatever. So the rest is history, as they say. Been in business for a long time, and came across this company. I had been in another industry, in the video game business, for many years, and things were starting to calm down with that a bit, and so came across this company. And I, for a long time in my life, having been a goalie for so long, tried all the different ways to change the colors of your goalie pads. And excuse me, I came across this company that had already been started by someone, but they weren't doing anything with it. It had been a couple of years, and it was, it was difficult to get replies from them, and it wasn't going well. So I stepped in and made an offer to buy the company, and that was back in 2014. And I have a wealth of business experience, so was able to take the product and get the train rolling, get a website up, get some social media going, and it snowballed from there. Just getting it out into teams, and the St. Louis Blues got involved, and reached out, and that was sort of the real beginning, because it lent the validity to the product, at the NHL level.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it when NHL teams pick up your gear. It just works so much better for marketing. Like one becomes 2 becomes 4. I got to give you a shout out before we start off as well, because I went down to an NHL tour back in the fall, as we all know, and visited, I think it was 7 NHL teams and a couple AHL and ECHL teams. And you were generous enough to donate a lot of Padskinz for the minor hockey associations that I went to. Most impactful was the Carolina Hurricanes, the Philadelphia Flyers, the Hershey Bears, the Hershey Cubs, the St. Louis Blues, Nashville. And that was very generous of you as well. But one of the things I was actually able to find when I went down there is when I was talking with the foundation heads and the minor hockey associations, is the engagement with kids, and like your Be Original slogan. Basically, it really sticks with them, and they use hockey as a tool, especially in places like Carolina, where hockey is like the 5th or 6th sport. NASCAR is bigger down there than hockey is. But Shane Willis from the Carolina Hurricanes, who we had on the podcast before, was really talking about engaging these kids using the tool of hockey to teach them life skills, to really give them confidence in small wins. And I really feel that your product, does a lot to give these kids their own identity, especially goalies, like you say, where they can like do what I did with your product line, customize it, take some time as a kid, get creative, put on the Cageskinz or on your gear and just customize it as well. So I want to see what your feedback was from the community and what you've been finding as well for kids and getting them small wins and confidence is really translated into their play and having more happiness and fun in the sport.
Yeah, I think you touched on it earlier. If you feel good, you play good. I say it. We get a lot of our business well, I shouldn't say a lot of our business, but a fair whack of our business is definitely with the kids and parents ordering for their kids. Or it's interesting. As much as the kids want to look good, the parents really are really involved. Like I've got some parents who, come back all the time and it's like, oh, I got this new idea for my kids' pads, like the parents really get involved. And, of course the kids love it. And something that I try and tell the parents is, listen, this is they might say, hey, well, I don't know what I want to do. And listen, sit with your child, have the conversation with them. It's a great opportunity for you to sit down with a blank canvas and a sheet of Padskinz and have that time with your child to just be creative together, and having that time together, because a lot of the time it's the kids are busy. Kids are doing other things. They want to be on their video games. They want to do stuff with their friends, that kind of thing. So this is a nice opportunity for parents and kids to do something together, and spending that time doing it together.
Yeah. And I think you hit the nail on the head as well. I mean, that's really like the sport transcends, what I would call like the real point. I always say to parents, like, if you're really worried about wins or losses, you're missing the point. It's about that magical time of kids. Like when you and I were growing up, to me, it was like, it could be Padskins now, but back then to me, it was hockey cards.
Yeah.
My dad and I sat down together. We collected the cards. We had the checklist down. And those are the things there that I remember as a kid. I don't remember what I won or lost really in those ages. And there was only a small time where you're like 8 years old to 13 or 14 of minor hockey. So it goes by so fast. And like you said, for you taking the time, sitting down with your kid, you're showing general interest in what their passion is and what it looks like for them, and then giving them the creativity, the blank canvas, as you said, to really sit down and say, hey, listen, this is your gear. This is ownership of you. This is your very first paper route of hockey. So like, do it the way you want to do it. And if you mess up, we just get new Padskins and we just start again. But like, let's start right now as well. So I want to start with a couple of stories that you might have as well about like what you found, like you said, just with the parents and the kids. But you can go to like junior levels, pro levels as well. Because I mean, you must have 1,000 stories about your product and last minute calls. Hey, listen, we just got a trade or whatever like that. So I thought we would just start with that, and you could just kind of give us some good spunk.
Yeah, definitely. Lots of cool stories. I'm a kid at heart. I'm very passionate, not only just about the business, but about the industry, the hockey industry, having played it for so long, and I still do. And so, yeah, I'm like a kid in a candy store. If I go down and, I've done some jobs for the Leafs, or, there was the first time I ever went down and met a pro was back in 2015, maybe 2016. And the Buffalo Sabres, Ryan Miller was going to use Padskins I think it was the World Cup of Hockey or something to that effect. So one of those teams, anyways, he's playing on USA. So the Buffalo equipment manager had known about our product and mentioned it to Ryan Miller. And so Ryan's, says, hey, get this guy down here next time we're in Toronto. So, because I want to talk to him about it. So, that was a huge thrill meeting Ryan Miller, after he was done practice, and just taking the time to speak with me was an enormous thrill, something I'd never forget. And just a great guy, real pro. And he ended up using, Padskins over his Buffalo gear in that World Cup. So definitely, stories like that. Freddie Anderson doing stuff for the Leafs, and Freddie down there, Jack Campbell, and just being in the Leafs room, being in an NHL dressing room, even especially on game day, like, oh my gosh, like everybody's there. So it's completely surreal just to have that opportunity.
Is there a part of you that, like, I remember my very first day on game day skate, like this is like 2014, I think it was, 10 years ago. And I see James Reimer walk by, and then Dion Phaneuf walks by, and I'm like a little weeble wobble, like, oh, and then you see the Maple Leaf in the dressing room, and you think to myself, I've done nothing cool in my life to be here. Like, how did I get here? And like, how do I not mess this up? Because like, there's a way to mess this up. I'm going to find it 150%.
Yeah.
And it turns out I did.
No.
The first 30 seconds I messed it up right away, and I got tapped by the PR guy from the Leafs, and like, yeah, you can't do that. And it's like, and I look over to my friend Mark Osborne was there, and he was the one trying to tell me how to like not screw this up. And I was listening to him, and then like I look over and he's just shaking his head at me like 30 seconds. Like you've been here 30 seconds and you're starting your career with this, and you got labeled down as well. But I thought we just started with the cool factor as well for you, like being around that. I don't know if it gets old, or you get customized to it. Like, yeah.
Well, the thing is though, Chuck, like it's a rare opportunity for me. I'm not like a Bauer rep who's talking to the guys and they're down the dressing room all the time, and like then I could see how maybe it loses its excitement, having talked to some of the reps for the different, the Bauers and the Bryans and CCM and all those guys. Like for them it's I don't want to speak for them, but my understanding is like, it's the excitement wears off.
Yeah.
But for me, just we did something for John Quick there when he got dealt from LA over to Vegas through Columbus. And so, it's just a huge thrill seeing the product being used at that high a level. Never mind, of course it's used all over. It's in Europe, it's in Canada, US, everywhere. It's anywhere there's hockey. So it's definitely it's a huge thrill just thinking about it, and it gives this tremendous sense of accomplishment, right? Because it took it from nothing to what it is today. So it's without trying to pat myself on the back, it's a ridiculous amount of work.
Yeah.
Just stupid amounts of time and effort, but it's really gratifying to see it pay off.
Like I can only imagine. I'm actually there on game days and media boxes and whatnot, so it's kind of like you're around that as well. But I want to try to get your sense of like what happens inside of you when you get the call from Vegas and say, hey, Jonathan Quick just got traded in a 3-way and he's down here. We need some yellow Padskins to get down here, and like, can you come down? Or how all the things, because nobody sees behind the scenes of what it takes to make an NHL hockey game go. Like the amount of like paid personnel, the volunteers, the training staff, like the media, like it's a zoo, like you said, down there on game day. But for you to get that call and then to be around that, like what happens behind the scenes that nobody gets to see, that you got to make stuff happen?
I mean, there's just that's a huge question, because as you stated, I mean, it is a huge amount of people involved for any type of production. Let alone, an NHL hockey game. So I think, I really have to shout out the equipment managers at every level, especially at the lower levels.
Yeah.
But something that I think a lot of people don't realize is just how hard those equipment managers and athletic trainers work. They're on nonstop, like, okay, hey, the game's over now. Let's all go home. Meanwhile, the equipment managers have to do laundry. They have to clean up everything. They have to get everything ready for the next day. They're there till like 2-3 in the morning. It's and not to mention what they have to do to prepare for the game. So they might leave 2-3 in the morning. They got to be back at like 7-8 in the morning because there's practice the next day, and they got to go over to the practice rink and get everything set up over there. And then, then maybe they're traveling. They got to load all the bags. They got to do, there's just so much these guys do. And I remember one of the equipment managers, I won't mention his name, just to keep him out of trouble, but he had told me this once. He said, Mark, as an equipment manager at any level, it's the same deal. A third of the guys love you. A third of the guys could care less about you. And a third of the guys hate your guts because it's your fault that they're not scoring goals. And, you know, the equipment managers, in my opinion, are the unsung heroes of hockey. They rarely get recognition for anything.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I've been saying that for years. And I say this every single time I'm down on a game day skate. I always make a point to go to the equipment managers because, like you said, like after the game's over, like you go down to the media, we go down to the tunnel and we go down to like, you know, where the coach is speaking or whatever like that. And you just see the media guys or the equipment manager guys, they got all the gear on the trolleys. It's got to go onto a truck. Then it has to go out to the plane. These guys are running nonstop. There is no break for them at all. They're sharpening skates in between periods that nobody sees. I mean, Tommy from the Leafs, I'll give him a big shout out as well because he's just the most calmest guy that I've seen. I've never seen him rattled. He's terrific. The biggest one that I love is D Nasty. He's no longer with the Flyers, but Derek Settlemeyer, his dad Sudsy was a trainer for the Flyers for like 30 years. And Derek was a master. I mean, he was the one guy. I mean, if you talk to anybody who's been a Philadelphia Flyer, Derek has been the one guy that they'll always go back. And now he's got a podcast right now. He's killing with Riley Cote. But yeah, unsung hero as well. And always had a smile on his face. And it makes such a big difference for the athletes because they're dealing with so much pressure. That having that guy in that dressing room, A, he knows his stuff. B, he's able to connect with the guy and able to customize it as easily as he possibly can. But I'm so glad that you brought that up. Mark.
And you know, just to finish that point, the guys at the NHL level, of course, everybody's working extremely hard. But when you're at the lower levels, you know, the real low level minor league stuff, you know, where the guys are like just keeping their careers going as much as they can, you know, just in that hope that, you know, the one day they make it. The guys at the lower levels, really, those equipment managers, oftentimes it's like you're the equipment manager and the athletic trainer all at the same time. And those, I mean, that's where you cut your teeth, you know, and nothing against the NHL level because, you know, but once you make, that's like the pinnacle for these guys. So once you actually make it to that level, you know, yes, you still have to work hard, but you have help. You might have a couple of assistants with you, or you might be one of the assistants and there's a couple other guys to help. Whereas, you know, at those lower levels, man, I've seen it. The guys, and they're driving the truck too. On top of everything, they're driving the bus, you know, that takes the teams from wherever to wherever. So huge shout out to those guys. I mean, they really, like, you pay your dues as an equipment manager. You might think like, oh, all I got to do is, you know, do some stuff, some tape and whatever, and we send the guys out. And like at the low levels, these guys pay their dues, man. It's unreal what I've experienced. I
think I've almost fell in love with the sport as well, because even on my tour in the fall time, I noticed there's a huge difference. If you're in Toronto, you've never been to another barn on game day skate, like this is a zoo. It really is. Then you go to somewhere like Philadelphia or New York or Chicago, and they're comparable. And then you get somewhere like, you know, I was down in St. Louis and there was 3 guys in the dressing room afterwards listening to Berube speak. And I'm waiting for the media to show up and like, this is it. Then I go into the ECHL. I went to the Reading Royals. And exactly what you said, like those guys in the ECHL, they're grinders and they're all they're on 2-way contracts with the A and the E, trying to make it all hip, or just from CIS hockey. Yeah. And then AHL as well with the Hershey Bears as well. Even the junior club, the Hershey Cubs as well, when I was there, same thing with them as well. So, speaking of which, there you are. With Joey Gambino from the Hershey Cubs. We just had Crystal Boudreau on the podcast, and those are the guys there. And I mean, like, it's really tough for Hershey because they've gone to more of a chocolate, obviously from the Hershey chocolate bars as opposed to the maroon that I wear. Yeah. But Joey Gambino said to say thank you with this as well. We will have some chocolate brown coming this summer. I've got some chocolate brown coming in this summer. So, and you and I talked about that. It's a really hard color to really get. So how did you make that happen?
Actually, we've got so I don't with Padskinz, the way we construct it, we buy all our materials from one particular material supplier as far as the top piece. So we're a little bit at the mercy of these because the quantities that you have to take to get a color made are pretty substantial. And so chocolate brown he's had for some time. It's just, I just haven't brought it in because there's not really the demand for chocolate brown. But now that Hershey's using it, yeah, definitely. And another color that we haven't had before was Kelly green, like for the Dallas Stars, for example. And it's been missing for a long time, like a really good, yeah, exactly. Or like the Whalers here, exactly.
Yeah.
So we've made an investment to bring in that color. A little bit of a gamble, but we need to have that color. So, it's just one of those business decisions there where we decided like, yeah, it's time. So we need some Kelly green, but we'll have some chocolate as well.
Kim, if you want to pull that picture up again, I just want to kind of like walk us through this. So, okay. So is this Cageskinz as well that he's wearing?
That's correct. Yeah. So this is our easy to apply mask kit. It's pre-cut pieces.
Yep.
As you'll see on the top there's some striping on the top as well as around the chin, and then the side pieces and a number on the chin. So mask vinyl typically, is very hard to apply. It's like wrapping a bowling ball with a piece of paper. It's extremely tough when you're going over those bumps across the top there. Yeah. So all our kits go on the flatter sections of the mask, so it allows you to just easily, peel it off, stick it on the mask, and it's very user friendly. Even people who have no idea what they're doing have commented back to us about how easy the process was and how straightforward it was.
And when you take okay, so we're gonna roll with your product line as well. So this is your Palmskinz line as well. So I just want to just roll with this and speak to this.
This is same type of palm materials that you find on any glove, just with a adhesive backing. So cut out your piece, a little bigger than the hole. I know we're looking at this particular palm. This particular customer decided to cover the entire thing, which is fine. But generally speaking, you just want, you could put a piece just over that one larger hole there on the glove, just peel and stick, and away you go. So it's a good, it's a temporary fix for your.
I had a guy, my men's team as well. I gave him the contact to reach out to you as well, and he was talking to me. He's bitching about his palms and his gloves, and he'd want to go and buy new gloves because he liked his gloves. And you send him Palmskinz, and he comes back the next week and he shows me the Palmskinz. I'm like, oh, Mark set you up. That's really nice.
That's great.
And this is some customization that you do on the gloves, like again, look like a pro, play like a pro. So how do you do this?
So this particular product that we're looking at now is our player glove name bars and our player glove numbers. We also do player glove logos as well to help customize your player gloves as we try to move. We're very niche towards the goalies, so these particular products here with the name bars and the numbers and that kind of thing has been used at every level of hockey, including the NHL. And it's just peel and stick. Everything we do is peel and stick. Super simple. Works at every level of hockey. And people do come to us sometimes and go, well, is this really going to work? Like, I don't know. Like, it's peel and stick on my glove. We tell people, like if it's good enough for the NHL, it should be probably good enough for you as well, right? Like, so we can customize to colors. Like I said, everything's peel and stick. So glove numbers, glove name bars. It's just that little bit of feel good. Even as a player, you want to feel good. I look good, and off you go. Like you're gonna play your best. This is Curtis McElhaney using the Cageskinz kit again. It's just the NHL guys love it. I shouldn't just say NHL, but AHL, OHL, whoever, you name it, any of the pro teams love these because it's an opportunity for them to just keep it on hand. It doesn't go bad. It doesn't go off. It's not a bag of milk. We'll pre-make it. They keep it rolled up in their chest there. And if a trade happens or they get a new goalie suddenly, boom, okay, no problem. Give me your mask. Here, I'm going to slap this on and you're going to look like a pro.
Yeah. I remember one time I was down in Philadelphia and Peter Mrazek had just been traded from Detroit. This is going to be like 4 or 5 years ago, right at the trade deadline. And he had a couple of weeks and he came from Detroit. So he was wearing red, with the Flyers coming in being orange as well. And red doesn't go well with orange at all. And I remember being in the dressing room with him and just saying, hey, listen, I'm just lucky I got my stuff here, just arrived this morning for morning skate. The difference that they have coming in, getting traded as a human being is something that we, that's a whole other conversation right there. But then again, when they walk into that dressing room and like you said, those trainers are there and the equipment managers are there and say, hey, listen, we're going to make you look like a star tonight. Take away all the things in your head, like your dog's at home, your wife, your kids going to another school. You got here, we're going to look like you star, and you go out there and you look like a pro, and you're part of the organization. Which I mean, like I don't think can be understated as much as a human connection point, especially for goalies because you don't want to mess with us with our psyche because we're a little crazy to begin with.
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah, so I thought we'd roll a little bit more with your product line on your pads and your gloves, and just basically tell us the story about how you create it because I don't think people get to see how it's made, what you have to do, and how it creates that role, and the story behind it.
So like the basic process is generally pretty simple. We have a shop, we have a warehouse, and a lot of stuff in it, and Padskinz is really making a sandwich. Ideally, we're taking a top material, adding an adhesive, cutting it to various sizes, and shipping it out. It's a lot of people contact us and say, hey, do you have pre-cut shapes and all this? Like if I have a Bauer Hyperlight pad, do you have the little spears and everything that I can just stick on? You can just send them to me in whatever color I want and stick them on. We've shied away from that kind of thing, doing specific shapes for specific pads all set up because, it's like a lot of different things. The customer always wants what you don't have, right? So we sell it in sheets. We sell the product in sheets. People can cut out whatever shapes they want and whatever color zones and whatever pads you have, it doesn't matter because if you think back to how many manufacturers over the years, how many different pad models, how many different years, how many different sizes, how many different color zones, like it's ridiculous. You just, as a company, as a business ourselves, we just can't, it's ridiculous. So everybody will have something different they want. So we just sell it in sheets and, it's a straightforward process for application. Cover up the graphic you want to change with some masking tape or painter's tape, trace out the shape, take all the masking tape off, lay it on the Padskinz material, cut it out. And once you got that shape cut out, peel, stick, away you go.
Yeah. I mean, I think the before and after pictures are always a great testament to the glee of goalies. Yes. Looking the part and just like, wow, man, that's like amazing. Like I have a friend of mine, he owns RYR Sports, and for Christmas a couple of years ago, he knows I'm a big Peterborough Pete's fan. So he made me a pair of Pete's goalie pants. It was the very first pants he ever made. He wanted to get into the goalie market. And then he gave me jerseys, with my name plate on the back in 35 with the Pete's jerseys. And then I didn't have anything to go with it. And then your Pantskinz come up, and then everybody kind of looks at me and says, so did you play for the Pete's? And if there wasn't this thing called Google, I would lie and say, I had a really good run. I love Peterborough, great show. Great town, great junior hockey experience. If you have the means, I highly recommend you do it. But yeah, I can't lie because I get busted in 4 seconds with a kid.
That's it, yeah.
I can't find you on Hockey DB. It's so weird. What'd you say your name was? You got to be spelling it wrong or something.
Yeah.
But again, you walk on the ice and people are just like, oh, who's the gamer? The guy played for the Pete's or he played for the Hershey Bears. Even when I was down in Philadelphia, they had morning skates, and Carter Hart was a healthy. He's a hurt late scratch, and my gear is literally 40 meters away in the parking lot. And I say to the PR director, I'm like, my gear is literally 40 yards away. I can be back here dressed on the ice in 2.5, maybe 3 minutes. And you guys can shoot pucks at me, and I look the part because I'm wearing Padskins. You know what I mean? It's a Hershey Bears jersey I'm wearing, and he kind of looked at me like I was crazy. He's just like, okay, send me an email. Yeah,
Yeah.
so didn't work out very well that
No,
way.
imagine that.
No, but the good thing is they didn't take me away in a straitjacket for thinking I was crazy.
Right? Like,
And that's a win right there, Mark.
it's a
That's
small victory, right?
small victory as well. So I just thought we'd just come and pull up a video as well, just to kind of like get some more visual references as well. So Cam, why don't we just pop this up?
Wow. I haven't
Yeah.
seen that video before. That's quite a job.
Cam's a great producer that way. He pulls rabbits out of hats for me on the show, Mark. That's what he does.
Wow. Somebody went to town. Somebody spent a lot of time cutting out all those letters and everything.
I know. I mean, honestly, like when I look at that, like my brain is really blown with the creativity that you must see. And people on your social media, and we've got your Instagram up there as well at Padskinz, and feel free to go to Mark's website at padskinz.ca as well, with a Z obviously, or a Z if you're watching this from the United States and you don't know what a Z is. You go to the site and you've got so much product on as well. So I thought we'd just talk a little bit more about, obviously you've got Pantskinz as well, that you've got nylon and vinyl. So I just thought we'd speak a little bit about more of your product line.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. The Pantskinz product is just like Padskinz. It's a 420 denier nylon, so it's real nylon. Again, we put a sticky back on it and cut, peel, and stick. So for your chesty, you got a rip in your chesty somewhere on the nylon. Don't try using Padskinz, because Padskinz will not stick to nylon. It's just the adhesive that we use. But Pantskinz do. They stick super well, and it's a super popular product, especially with teams, because the team guys, as you can well imagine, the equipment guys they're on the go, man. They need to just like, hey, let's get this done quick, and saves them sewing, on repairs to anything nylon, especially on the pants. But there's lots of areas that use nylon in hockey gear, and so it's we've got 14 colors, and it is a fantastic product. We use it we do pant logos, we do on those glove logos that you saw, or pardon me, on the glove name bars that you saw, the glove numbers, the glove logos. We use Pantskinz as the backing for all that stuff, so that we know it's going to work. It's it will succeed. So just some great alternative products. Another thing we do with the Pantskinz as well is we do pant stripes. Yeah. So it's great for shells, great for pants. It's getting to be an extremely popular product for us. And again, used at the NHL level. The Buffalo Sabres, Craig Anderson used it in the Heritage game a couple years ago. You can even see, we've got a great pic of it with a puck mark right on it, so you see, like, it withstands pucks. Like, it's a good product.
Yeah, and there we go, right there. Like,
there's some of it there. There's the pant logo from the 67s that we did, the Ottawa 67s. You can see the glove number up in the top there as well. And we didn't
27 on the 67.
Pardon me?
27 on the 67.
You got it, buddy. You got it.
Yeah.
So it was there's all kinds of uses for it, right? And so we're going out to minor hockey associations a bit more. We're making a bit more of a push on that end, because it's just once people see it and they use it, they go, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And it's just getting the eyes on the product, especially on the player side or on the team side of things. We're pretty popular with the goalies, but just trying to make that push a little more on the other side.
There you go, Ryan Miller, who almost took away a gold medal for us in Vancouver that one time.
Yes,
boo on you for that, because you couldn't have picked a guy who's throwing his head more in an Olympic game than Jim Craig. Then Ryan Miller did that year as well. So there's his Team USA Padskinz as well, on top of his Buffalo Sabres.
We still use that on our packaging too, on our retail packaging. We still use those same pads. Like, it was such a huge moment for me, with all that happened with that Ryan Miller thing. Was just, that's my homage to to that time. I still leave it around the front of the packaging.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head when you talk about, like, the kids and that. Like, that's the reason why I wanted to have you on the show, because I love your product line, and I just thought, more kids need to see this, and more parents need to say, hey, listen, do you want some Padskinz for Christmas, or something like that coming up for birthday or start of the season? And I know, like, I've been to your place in Orangeville as well, and it's an absolute zoo for you at the start of the season, of how busy you guys are and how hard you work. to do all this as well, that most people don't get a chance to see behind the curtain, behind the levers of the great and powerful odds as well. So like for you to get all that out to the hockey world out there, like it can't be a small task.
No, it is a full-time plus job, especially as a small business. There's only a couple of us there. And so, yeah, that July to January time is, I don't live like a normal human being those times. My wife and son know it's, dad's going to be locked and loaded into that world. So free time is definitely limited during that time, but it's a labor of love. I've been a goalie my whole life. I love everything about the sport. I love everything about being a goalie. I love, and there's a great gratification, a personal gratification that I get from my business. Yeah, do it to make money. Absolutely. Who doesn't, right? For whatever job you're doing, but for the amount of hours that I have to put into this to make it happen, and the amount of effort, it's a labor of love. When a parent emails me to say, wow, my kid's so happy with the way it turned out, and I think it looks great. And the parents are always asking me like, oh, where'd you get that? Oh, that looks so cool, and knowing that, yes, I'm in the job to make money, but I'm also here to support my fellow goalies. I'm here to support my fellow hockey players and the parents. I was a hockey parent. My mom was a hockey parent. And just knowing that whole background and how all that works and the costs involved and the time involved and the mental effort involved in having your child involved in some sport, it gives me a great sense of gratification to know that I'm providing something that brings joy to people, I guess, at the end of the day. And it makes a difference in their lives in one way or another. So it's a great joy.
Yeah, and I gotta apologize to you as well, because obviously it was like high season for you when I was going down to the States and you're running around with your head and here I was coming down here, and you didn't even miss a beat at all. You were so gracious about like what do you need. And, I'm going to go down to these, like, and the thing is, you don't know this. Like, I'm going down to these places. I could just be stealing from you.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah. The thing is, like,
you seem legit, but, you know.
But I mean, if you could see the joy on these kids' faces, like when I gave Joey Gambino from the Hershey Cubs, he's got all white gear. And he's like, wow, man, thanks for. You're giving me this? I'm like, no, Mark's giving this to you. I'm just the messenger of this as well. And, like the younger kids as well. Like there's Joey again right there. And Crystal was like, oh my God, how much do we owe you for this? And it's like, no, it's a gift. And thank you for facilitating this, Mark, because honestly, like you don't get to see the joy in the kids' faces that I got to see on that trip. And you were so busy that season, and you were running around with your head cut off, and I was coming in and trying to get all my stuff to go, and I had 1,000 moving parts that I had to do for to live in a truck for the Holy Chuck truck for a month to do all that as well, and I was packed to the rafters as well to go down there, but it was just so much fun, and again, just to see the kids' faces when you got to give them this as well, and like I said, you didn't get to see that. So, it was a little bit more selfish on my side that I wanted to share that with you and give you a shout out on the show for being such a giving human being that you'd want to facilitate that. And you just said, what do you need? And I was just like, oh, thanks, man. That's amazing. You don't know the difference that you're going to make in these kids' lives by doing this. And now, obviously, I know that, this is what you do, but when you get that warm fuzzy back from the parent or the kid or whatever. And what I wanted to use this segment for as well is throw out a call to action to you guys who are watching the show, that, sharing is caring. And if you're out there, and I always say this on the show, that we live on a starvation diet of acknowledgement. But if Mark's product has like touched you in a certain way where you just want to feel that out and be able to share that on Instagram as well, please tag him in all your posts and thank him for what he's been doing as far as what your game looks like or what your gear now looks like, or you got traded and you now have new gear that Mark's ideas have worked for you as well. So like, don't be shy about throwing that on Instagram and tagging him into that in his Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter posts, and jump on his website and just send him a quick little message and say thanks. I'm not sure if that's going to inundate you with messages as well, but I mean,
honestly, Chuck, we get so many pictures. We get a lot of pictures. You know, people are excited about when they get their goalie pads done the way they want. We do a lot of split pad logos and these types of things, and it makes the goalies feel so good about what they're wearing. You know, they want to send in pics. They want to see their creations on our social media, and so we get a lot of pics. And you know, we try to post them all. We can't. You know, we post every third day. We could probably post every second, or maybe even every day. Like. There's a lot of picks. But yeah, we greatly appreciate it. Like, you know, just seeing the enormous amount of support that the product has had it's a bit mind boggling. But I also wanted to reverse just for a quick second, just talk, you know, you were talking about, you know, not being able to see the joy on the kids' faces and how I, you know, stepped up for you in your time of need. At the same time, you know, you told me about what you do, you know, and how you help the kids and you know, that just, you know, overall what you do, Chuck. And so, you know, probably not enough people give you a shout out, you know, for what you do for the community, for these communities and what you do to help these kids. You know, that's a huge deal. There's not that many people who are willing to invest their time and efforts just to bring smiles to faces, you know, at whatever age, because, you know, it's not always just limited to the kids, you know, the effect that what you do, you know, even for the parents of the kids, you know, these are things, you know, we need more Chuck Basties out there going and doing these things for people, you know, because you look at the state of the world today, and you know, we could talk for hours about the state of the world, I'm sure. There's not enough kindness. There's not enough thinking of others. You know, we're in such a selfish state of the world, you know, where it's all about me and as long as I'm okay, you know, and you know, so kudos to you, Chuck, and what you do. And it was a pleasure for me to support someone like yourself who is going out and doing this and making a difference in people's lives. So yeah, thank you for that. Yeah,
honestly, I don't even know what to say, because I say we all live on a starvation diet of acknowledgement, but when we get it, the first thing I want to do is just like, oh, like it wasn't me, it was somebody else that mentored me and did this, and I can't sit with that very well, because that would make it real. And then I would have to believe that I'm a good person. And like, my ego doesn't want to do that. He's like, no, you're an asshole. Like, you know, like and all my exes are like, no, don't listen to him. You know, like, oh, these are the voices that go into my mind. But, you know, you're absolutely right. I mean, I come back to teachers because I've had wonderful teachers in my life, whether they've been in school or in college or on the ice. And they saw the greatness inside of us before we saw the greatness inside of ourselves. And they just drew that through inspiration or leadership or space or compassion or empathy. And I'm a base brat. My dad was in the Army, and we moved around a lot. Like every 3 years we got posted. And we were really fortunate, because when you go to a base environment, you're family inside of that. So we got that connectedness. And I was always able to have the tool of hockey to walk into a dressing room right away as a new goalie or the new kid, and then be able to fit in with that as well. But I mean, yeah, thank you for that, because it's one thing that I want parents and kids to get out there more. We're all human. Like we all are souls having a human experience here. And the more that we can help other people, like not even feel better, but just feel less shitty about their day or about what they're going through. And we have no idea what people are going through, even though we might think that. And just extending more kindness to them as well. And like I said, that's why I wanted to have you on the show as well, because I really feel that your product line is really engaging to these kids. And I just thought to myself, you know, how can I create more engagement for your product line and your company as well, by getting it out to, you know, the communities that we visit and that we want to service as well, and help these kids. And again, small wins. If you give kids small wins, then they become big wins. Big wins become confidence. Confidence now comes mastery. Mastery at that level then becomes work ethic and perseverance. And I think in this world, we're really missing a lot of the perseverance factor, because, you know, most of these kids have never got smoked in the face by life yet. And when it hits them, it's like, how do you get up? How do you rebuild? And how do you keep moving forward? And you as a small business owner, you know this intimately.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's perseverance is key. Absolutely. You know, if you have a dream, if you have a goal, you know, stop at nothing until you reach that goal. You know, don't let anyone tell you you can't do something. You know, it's just, you know, anyone can accomplish any goal. You know, outside of like you or I playing in the NHL.
Almost happened. I
Right.
was almost an e-bug.
You know, short of some e-bug situation.
Yeah.
But no, but seriously, you know, like it's very true. If you put in the work, you know, you put in the effort, you stop at nothing, you make that your whole, whatever your goal is, you know, make that your whole life, you know, you'll succeed. It's just having that drive and having that passion behind something, and everybody has to find what that is. You know, I have a son who's coming up on 19. You know, like it's a tough time in life. You know, you figure out like, oh, I got to figure out a direction now. Like, oh, how am I going to do that? I remember when I was that age, and I had no idea what I wanted to do. So, and I'm still somewhat figuring it out. But it's so true. You just, you know, people out there, just don't let people tell you you can't do something. You know, whatever your goal is, do it. Just do it. And, you know, just everything you got, put it in there, and you will be successful. You know, you'll figure it out. And if you're not successful, the education you get from the experience of trying helps you learn more and become better in whatever aspect of life that you're trying to be better at. You know, the lessons from it.
I love critical thinking. Like, how do I think critically? I don't want to know like what problem to solve. I want to know how I can solve the problem, because the problem is going to be interchangeable and change. Mm-hmm. But if you teach kids and give them the tools to say, hey, you know, how is this built? How can we change this? How is there a different way to do all this? Then you start engaging them. I don't like algebra or calculus. I was never a math or a science guy. But what I did like about it is it gave you the ability to approach a problem and say, okay, how do I solve this? Okay, let's start at the grassroots. And teaching that critical thinking, I think, is an art, because from that point there, you can interchange that with any problem that you have in your life, and then make that work because you've learned how to think, and you've been able to get to that part where you're like, you know, I'm stuck right now. How do I dig myself out of this hole? Okay, great. Where do we start? So, and that's a great segue for this. So like we say, where do we start? But where are you going from here now? I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. But do you have any new products coming out? And obviously the off season's coming out right now as well. And what's new for Padskinz in 2023?
Not a whole heck of a lot, to be honest with you. We just build. It's more of just building now. We've got a great selection of products that we can be confident in, products that are well received, used at the highest levels. And now it's more awareness, and especially on the player side, we're trying to move a little bit, you know, expand out into the player aspects a little bit more, you know, with the pant logos, with the glove numbers and name bars. So this year is a little bit just more focus on the, I guess you could say, expansion of that as opposed to new products this year. So we'll be fairly status quo. We just launched a product called Pad Rips, and that it's available on the website, and it's a preset thing for your glove, your blocker, and your pad. So it looks like there's a big, you know, rip in the middle of it, and we can put your team logo in there. We can put whatever background you want inside of the rips. So I've been using it for the last season on my own gear, and a lot of compliments on it. It's a fantastic look. But outside of that, yeah, we'll just continue on. We've got a lot of accessories in the shop that we bring in from Nash Sports. Nice variety of all, you know, goalie stuff. And now we're getting into a few player accessories that we've been asked for. So yeah, just trying to expand a little bit more on that end of things. Yeah.
All right. I'm excited about that. I want to play rapid fire right now. So I'm just going to throw in a series of questions from you.
Oh, God.
And you just give your answers as it fits for you. And we'll start with favorite goalie.
Favorite goalie. Mike Richter was my favorite goalie growing up. It probably dates me quite a bit. But man, Mike Richter was my guy growing up. Him and Alan Bester from the Okay, so great story. So when I was a kid, Alan Bester was like my hero. He was the guy, right? Because you played net for the Leafs.
Ken
For those
Reagan,
of you
yeah.
who weren't around in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alan Bester as a kid. And so I used to have my Leafs jersey. My parents got me a Leafs jersey with Bester across the back, you know, and so like I'd go to school with my Bester shirt on, and people make fun of me because the Leafs sucked. And right, like, so yeah, those two guys growing up. I mean, but you know, anyway, sorry, long-winded answer to it.
I love that. No, I play hockey with Gary Lehman and Mark Osborne, and they have great Alan Bester stories. Like Gary Lehman comes to me, he's like, Chuck, like we were in Vancouver. And we were at morning breakfast after the skates, and like John Cordick got up and just literally cold clocked Alan Bester right in the face.
Oh my God.
Didn't say anything. And we all just looked at this like, what just happened? And Alan Bester's lying on the floor because John Cordick was a big dude. He's on steroids back then.
Yeah, he was a fighter over
big
there.
dude. And didn't say anything and literally got back into his chair and finished his breakfast. And Alan had to go for repairs as well. And then I emailed Alan, like, did that really happen? He's like, exactly like that.
Oh my God.
So poor Alan Bester as well.
Poor Alan Bester. Yeah, he was a small guy anyways, right?
He was. Like he's like 5'7", 5'8", 5'8", like my guy. And you say Mike Richter, and I winced because in 1996 I had bought this brand new red BMW. I was doing really well in business at the time. We got tickets to Game 3 of the World Cup final in Montreal. When the first two games were in Philadelphia, and we lost the second game. I'm like, perfect. I'm going to the show in Game 3. And we were doing really great until the third period, and then like we ended up losing in the Bell Center at the time, which was just brand new. Like the Forum had just been taken down, and Mike Richter. I saw him at a Flyers alumni skate with the Rangers, the outdoor game, and like. I want to say it was 2012. And the first thing I had to go up to him was like, listen, man, I will never like you ever again. What you ruined my night. We got out of the Bell Center. We're in Montreal. We want to go party. It shut down the entire city. We literally got in my BMW. We drove 5 hours back to Toronto. I think we got there like 4:00 in the morning. And I was like crying the whole way home. Team Canada, because he stole that game. He stole that game. Favorite goalie moment?
Goalie moment. Wow. Okay. Again, dating myself horribly here, but 1980s, and Ken Reagan was playing net for the Leafs, and we were playing, I think, St. Louis at the time. It was a playoff game. Couldn't tell you which one, but I remember it vividly, even to today, like 40 years later. I still remember this, and it was the glove save by Ken Reagan when guy just came and just fired it, and Reagan just a big windmill save and everything, and like it still sticks with me today because the place went nuts. Like it was back in Maple Leaf Gardens, and just the whole place just went bananas for the save, and it still sticks in my mind today. But there's I'm sure there's a million better examples.
Favorite celebrity hockey moment that you have that who you got to meet?
Celebrity hockey moment. Man, I mean, the Ryan Miller one was a big one for me, right? That was a huge. That's probably the biggest one. I mean, outside of being in the room and getting to meet, being in the Leafs room on a game day skate and meeting like a bunch of the players and stuff, that was super cool. But yeah, no, I think probably the conversation, the time I spent with Ryan.
And person that you'd most want to meet that you haven't yet.
Wow, that's a big question. I don't know if I can answer. There's just so many. Like, one person in particular.
You can do 2, 3 if you want. That's fine.
I'll say this. I'd love to meet everybody. And I don't mean to just generalize that, but I mean, goalies in particular. But one thing I guess out of this, all the equipment managers that I've met. I've met so many equipment managers. There's a show every year. There's a society. It's the SFEM, PHAT SFEM show, and it's It's the Society of Professional Hockey Equipment Managers, and they do a show every year in the States, and all the guys come, NHL right down through the, to the university, college leagues, and all the equipment guys come. So I've done that show for a great number of years now, and just getting to sit with them and talk to them has really given me some insights into sort of like the inner workings and some good stories and that kind of thing from them. And that more so, I think those experiences of being able to spend time with equipment managers every year is really sort of taken away the holy grail of meeting people, of goalies, certain goalies or certain players or coaches or whoever. Like, I feel like I kind of got that experience through the equipment guys at all levels, I might add, like, from the lowest to the highest. Those guys have turned into my heroes, if you will, like seeing how hard the equipment guys work and the lack of acknowledgement thank you of that has really turned them into my hockey heroes, as opposed to whoever, Carey Price or Freddie Anderson, whoever it may be. Those guys, man, I can't wait to see them again. I get excited to talk to them, whoever reaches out, and those guys are the guys that I really love hanging out with.
And I'll one up that as well, but like PR directors that I dealt with at the NHL levels, like thankless job. You got guys like Sergey from the Washington Capitals that has to deal with the Alex Ovechkin show every single day. Zach Hill from the Philadelphia Flyers was my hero as a public. That guy went out of his way more times for kids, for fans, for morning skates, for media credentials, and he just retired this year as well. I got a chance to see him down in Philadelphia when I was down there. He came by the rink, and again, a huge shout out to those guys as well. I did want to share a James Reimer story because he took it in the teeth a couple weeks ago. But we were down in the tunnel. I was interviewing James. This is back in 2014 or so. And he was going to go to the dressing room. He comes out of the tunnel. You can go right to go to the Leafs dressing room. I'm hanging on the left-hand side. And there's a woman in a wheelchair in front of me. And she ends up, like her father left and just said, can you watch my daughter for a second? I said, sure. And so James comes out, he sees me, he waves at me, he says, hey, listen, I'll just be in the dressing room. I said, I'll be there in 5 minutes. And then he could have went right, and he goes straight to the left and goes to the window wheelchair and says, excuse me, are you being looked after? And then she starts to well up, and then Tommy walks by from the Leafs, the equipment manager, and he says, Tommy, can you do me a favor? Can you grab me a stick? He's like, would you like a stick? And I took a picture of my BlackBerry. That's how long ago this was. I'm dating myself, right? Yeah. And nobody saw that but me. And like, those are the things that are behind the scenes stories that like, it just like, that's what the game really represents for me, is those unsung heroes that do all that and facilitate that. And then that was the day they lost to Philadelphia in that game. And then they lost 8 or 9 straight to lose out in the playoffs. And James Reimer got cyberbullied. Actually, he's not even on Twitter. His wife, April, got cyberbullied, and death threats came in.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like millions of people like die, jump in front of a bus, but it would go through your legs, like stuff like that. Like just awful stuff that he's on Twitter. And I'm sitting in the dressing room with him, and I just said, hey, listen, if anybody could have done this, I'm glad that you went through this, because his wife, April, took that example and went to the schools. And went to 3 schools every single day and created a foundation called Tweet Suite, and taught kids, hey, listen, my husband plays for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's got every resource in the world for him. He makes $3.5 million a year. But you as kids, you don't have the cyberbullying tools to deal with this. If you're going to tweet Suite. And that all came about of that one moment, where nobody saw that and nobody was there. Yeah. And the game really was irrelevant at that point. But like the ripple effect that came of that was something that I love in the game of hockey, that we can just transcend the sport and then get back to changing people's lives or helping people deal with their lives as well. So I thought we'd bring that story up as well. Yeah. Last question before you go. So where do you want to see yourself now in 5 years, and how can we help facilitate you getting there?
So 5 years from now, that is a great question. I hope to have expanded the line out so we're again a little more popular on the player side of things. To continue to innovate the industry, to continue to just to be there for when people need us for our products. And I mean, who knows? 5 years, man, that's a long time in a crazy world. So
It is.
you what you may think might be in 5 years, the reality of that might be totally different. But in a perfect world, I hope that we can continue on the path that we're on. And we've been around now for 10 years.
Yeah.
Actually, this June will be 10 years for us. So I hope that we can continue on doing what we're doing and bringing joy to people when they need our products.
Yeah. Well said, Mark. And I really want to thank you for being on the show as well, because I really wanted to really profile your work and your line and your passion and helping kids and athletes connect to their identities and create avatars, which are fun and engaging in a way that you facilitate, which is amazing. So want to thank you for being on the show as well.
Thanks so much, Chuck. It was a pleasure to be on the world famous, Chuck Bastie show. And hey, listen, again, thank you as well. Thank you for what you're doing and the efforts that you're making for people, all over, and to try and make a difference in their lives. So, thank you as well.
All right, before I start to cry and well up right now, I'll just end it there. Mark, thanks for being on the show. And I really want to thank everybody for tuning in. It honestly is a labor of love as well, but I'm hoping that you enjoy this as well. So we will have you back on the show again in the future, Mark Phillips. So be well.
Thanks so much.
Okay, good luck this summer.
Thanks, you guys.
And that's Mark Phillips from Padskinz. You can find him on Padskinz with a Z or a Z, depending if you're Canadian or American. And all the links will be on the YouTube channel as well that we have for Mark's product line. Feel free to jump on his website and have a look at all that. He's got a whole bunch of goodies as well, and they're not just for Christmas. And so, with that being said, we'll bring our producer Cam LaRock and see what Cam's thoughts of the show was today. And there he is. There's our famous producer Cam LaRock. What do you think?
Not quite famous yet, Chuck, but maybe one day. Great show again. I'm glad I got to hear about everything Mark's doing with Padskinz. I didn't know about this product until you introduced me to it a few weeks back. But it's really cool what he's doing. A lot of different designs, and it's definitely gonna help kids with confidence and everything like that.
Yeah, and I thought I was like the anomaly with my junior goalie, Ryan Tanner. Like, he mentioned this to me as well, and then Ryan went out to Fort Francis as well to play Junior A, and we were able to give him some Padskins to go out there as well and develop his equipment. But yeah, great introduction. Like, really get to develop my own gear as well, and if I want to go to another set of gear, I can just take off the interchangeables and away I go. So I want to thank everybody for joining in today. I know you could have been anywhere else, so I'm really flattered that you sat and spent some time with us talking with Mark Phillips of Pantskinz. I want to thank our sponsor, Holy Chuck Burger, as well, because it's not just a great name, it's also a great burger. Mark Anthony Hair Products for all their help to make this all happen. It's a lot of work, just like me. And our friends at Maxwell Clothiers, our bespoke tailor, which does a great job making me look pretty since 1996. I've been using him as well. So coming soon to a theater near you. So that being said, I want to thank you for joining us as well. If you like this, comment, share, and like, and sharing is caring. I do always say we all live on a starvation diet of acknowledgement. So if you like something, tell them as well. You'll make their day. Sharing is caring. People helping people. It's powerful stuff.